Sora AI, guys. How insane is it that now people are allowed to make videos of the most craziest, disgusting things? What the heck? And what is it with this Martin Luther King obsession, okay? Why is everybody making freaking videos of Martin Luther King being like the the anti-hero, okay? The heel. He's the bad guy now, okay? What's up with that?
You're listening to A Blind Perspective, only on the Undisputed Pod Network.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Blind Perspective. I am your host, the most undisputed, the undisputed champion, Alejandro Cervantes. And in case you don't know who I am, I'm a blind content creator in the Bay Area with the goal to inspire and change the world. And today we are back here again in the Undisputed Pod Network studio with another episode. Okay, today we're doing a Q&A, all right? First, I want to just go ahead and say, I really appreciate you guys' support. I made a poll on the Instagram. Like, okay, give me you guys' questions for some Q&A stuff. And a lot of people reached out. Okay, keep it up, guys. You guys are doing great. Unfortunately, for some of you, other questions aren't going to be in this video because there was just so many. But my producer over here, he gathered up the best questions for this episode. Before we get into it, guys, if you guys haven't already, make sure to follow, okay? Help us get one step closer to 60K. But I mentioned in one of the previous take a shot. I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, a few times actually, that I'm waiting for it to be cold, for the sweater season, yada yada, okay? And I mentioned that one of these episodes is coming up pretty soon, that I'd be rocking my favorite sweater, okay? Now, this used to be my favorite sweater, and this is a sweater I was going to be wearing, but now, this is my favorite sweater right here, okay? Jesus Saves, okay? If you guys haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I'm not pushing it on you guys, but please consider it, okay? It'll change your life. Now, it's officially the cold time, and honestly, a part of me kind of regrets begging for this, okay? Because now I'm freezing cold. But I mean, what am I not going to complain about, right? But anyways, let's get on with these questions, guys. Let's go. Question number 1. What's one misconception people usually have? Ooh, that's a good question. And I know the answer to that one, okay? A lot of times people think, I'm a jerk or I'm an a-hole, okay? And I personally don't think so. I mean, I know I maybe can be. But in reality, I just always want to be telling the truth and be honest, okay? In our generation, it's really easy for that to get confusing for people, but, I will always continue to be honest and tell the truth. And if that offends people, and if I'm categorized as an a-hole for that, tough shit, pal. Okay. I don't know what to tell you, but that's one big misconception about me, okay? And if you know me at a personal level, you know what I'm talking about. Question number 2. What's something you used to believe in strongly, but you don't anymore? Sheesh. I thought good about this one, okay? Should I ruin WWE? I hope no kids are watching this. And if you're a kid watching this, skip through to this part right here. One thing that I used to strongly believe in, that I don't believe in anymore, is that professional wrestling is real. Now, before anybody freaking flames me and gets pissed off at me and wants to cancel me, I understand that, the slams, everything is real. But when it comes to who wins matches, what's going on in storyline, I mean, man, they really had us thinking some crazy things as kids, guys. Okay? Who the heck is going to freaking get a sledgehammer straight to the head and come back next week with a Band-Aid on their forehead? Okay? How the heck is someone going to be freaking burnt on fire, okay, and then come back the next week and throw a fireball at someone's face and they lose their freaking mouth, okay, with their eyes pop out, okay? Like I said, I'm going to throw one more. They had us thinking some crazy things. Oh, yes, The Undertaker, he died. Oh, man, they really did bury him. Oh, sheesh, they put him in the casket and now he's in the cemetery. Wow. I'm going to give one more because I'm on a roll, okay? This is the real sad one. The tables. Okay, man, it really, really hit me hard. Okay, one day I was sitting there watching Monday Night Raw. You know, they had the table set up right there. My mom calls me over, take the trash out, blah, 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 blah. I pause it, leave. I come back and I see it right there, perfectly paused. The table cracked in three. I'm sorry. It's so disappointing. But that is one thing that I used to strongly believe in. That honestly, I'm like, man, I know the real stuff now. All right, next question. What's a trend you hope never comes back? Oh, okay. That's a good question. Okay. A trend I hope never comes back is actually a trend that's going on now. Okay. Sora AI, guys. How insane is it that now people are allowed to make videos of the most craziest, disgusting things? Okay. I mean, oh my God. The first one I saw, I'm going to tell you about the first ones I saw. Chris Benoit. What kind of sick people are you? Okay. Chris Benoit's coming back to AEW. What? Okay. If you guys don't know about the Chris Benoit situation, okay. Basically, Chris Benoit, professional wrestler, he killed his family. I'm on the internet. He unalived his family. And then he unalived himself after the whole, process. And people made AIs of him coming back. What the heck? And what is it with this Martin Luther King obsession, okay? Why is everybody making freaking videos of Martin Luther King being like the anti-hero, okay? The heel. He's the bad guy now, okay? What's up with that? All right. And it's just, honestly, it's ridiculous, the things that people are allowed to do now with all these different, artificial intelligence tools, and I wish that we could be able to use those tools, for good. But unfortunately, if you're on the internet, you know how bad it's getting. Okay. Tell me why I saw a video the other day of a fan, some loser, big, fat, 20-chinned, mark behind the keyboard type of guy. He got a picture with a female professional wrestler, okay? And then he makes an AI of her kissing him. What the heck is wrong with you people? You guys are sick. And by the way, she would never kiss you. Ain't no wrestler gonna kiss you. Okay? But to post it on the internet is just insane to me. Okay? And, I hope that changes and that they put more restrictions on what's allowed to be put on the internet. Because Sora AI is one day gonna get me canceled. Okay? Woo! Okay, and I say that right now. I'm saying that right now for my sake. Okay? Because when this video comes out and anybody watching this, okay, and when they want to cancel me one day, yada yada, just know that I called it. Okay? Just know that I am not a bad person. That's all I gotta say. What's the best piece of advice you ignored until it finally made sense? Yeah. So I remember growing up, my dad, the advice was from my dad. So I remember he sat me down one day. He's like, look, you don't have to show off to anybody for anything. Okay. Your actions should speak louder than words. Okay. The acknowledgement that you want is the kind where you're just quiet and people acknowledge you without making it noticed. And I didn't understand at the time. Like, I want to show off to everybody. I don't get to show off often. I was a little nerdy kid, but if I could show off something, I'm going to do it. I didn't listen to him. But when I got older, I realized, like, man, like, yeah, people who are showing off, like, you don't even get the right attention you want. Okay. And I guess that's my advice to you guys too. If you're showing off about something, why are you showing off? Like, I know you want attention. It's in reality, it is sad, but, the quietest person in the room is always the most powerful. Okay. And that's something my dad told me when I was younger. And I realize that now when I'm older, I could just, lean back, chill. And if people compliment me, that's cool. But if not, then I'm going to wait for the right time. When was the last time life told you did? Yeah. Okay. I can't really give a specific situation or experience, but I will say, as I continue to, get closer to Christ, I realize that, when I'm low, I'm real low. Okay. But I got to remind myself that when I start going up, when I start to get more confident, when I start to, get back in the groove, to not be arrogant. I feel like it always ends up getting to my head, and it's easy to get to your head when you're doing so good. But you got to remember where your gifts come from and what why you're there and who is, the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And that's because of Christ, you know. And a lot of times, and he will do it, where I'm like, oh man, I'm great, blah, 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 blah. And then bam, he just humbles me and just throws me like a crazy situation. So I think that's the best answer I gave there. Who's someone you met by accident that ended up impacting your life in a major way? Nick, got your breath. Oh my God. I have two answers for that. So the first one I'm gonna give is my girlfriend. Okay, I've been dating her for take a shot. Why am I stuttering so much in this episode, guys? Look at that part again. Okay, my response for that, I got two for that. Okay, one, I gotta say my girlfriend. Okay, I met her about a little over a year ago. We've been dating for like a year and a half now, and I remember going to the program that I was going to. I'm like, yeah, like I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around anybody. I don't want any of this. Okay, but again, I'm gonna bring up the Lord again. He will put people in your life when you won't expect it and will completely change your life. Okay. So I was like, man, I was so negative going into the school. I didn't want to go, blah, blah, blah. But then I go and I meet my girlfriend, who I've now been dating for over a year. My second person I'm going to give is one of my closest friends. I've been friends with him for about 7 years now. And that's Little Buster, my friend Kylon. I remember being in middle school and I was like, he came up to me. Okay, and he's like, "Oh, I see that you have." Oh no, he didn't even say that. He's like, "Oh, are you a wrestling fan?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know you're asking me because I have these keychains on my backpack," which I did. I had these little, WWE keychains on my backpack. It was a Roman Reigns and a Dean Ambrose. Okay, and I was like, "You're saying that because of the keychains, And for whatever reason, I maybe rubbed me the wrong way or something. I'm like, this guy's a weirdo, and he kept, it was funny because then we ended up being in the same classes. We ended up, being around each other a lot. And I was like, man, screw this guy. Like, get away from me. I don't want to be around you. But slowly I realized, how much of a good person he was and how life-changing it is to meet somebody unexpectedly. And yeah, like I said, we've been friends to this day. He's actually my photographer friend. Okay, the guy that you guys have seen, the guy that the guy that you guys see in some of the vlogs. So, like I said, if you ever, encounter somebody and you think that you're not gonna be friends with them or you can't hang with them, just give them a chance. Okay. Tell me about one time. That's an easy one. I gotta go with track and field. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I did track and field in high school. At first, I was like, man, I don't even know I'm not even good at track. I'm not even good at running, but I tried it and I actually had a lot of people recommend me to do it. But I was like, man, we'll see how it goes. And I remember going in and, none of the coaches knew I was blind. Okay. They were like, this guy can totally see. And, one day they're separating everybody. Oh, who wants to go to jumps? Who wants to go to, running and doing hurdles, different events and stuff. And I was like, man, hurdles is cool, I've played Subway Surfers growing up. I've always seen people do hurdles. I mean, that's cool stuff. So I go, and pretty soon my coach is like, oh, F this kid. He's not doing anything. He's not listening. And I was like, a month went by. A whole month went by. And my mother was like, you got to tell him about your visual impairment. You got to tell him. I was like, no. We'll see. I eventually ended up telling them. They're like, man, that means no hurdles. I'm like, no, it means yes hurdles. So everybody was like, what are you doing? You're going to get hurt. This is not safe. And I was like, man, it gives me more reason to do it. And a lot of people doubted me and they tried to get me to do different events and different things. But I was like, no, hurdles is my thing. Okay. And I could actually talk about it in a different video. We can make a full episode on it. Okay. Because I did a lot of things with hurdles and a lot of things with track and field. If you guys want to check that out, make sure to let me know. But yeah, definitely hurdles for track and field. What's something you really like Yeah. I'm just blew into the mic. Man, how did that sound on your guys' end? This one is Yeah, I'm breaking the fourth wall on this one for you guys, okay? So, one thing that I've realized about myself, and obviously I don't give myself credit, praise the Lord first and then the people around me that he puts in my life, okay? I've had a lot of people tell me, and a lot of people have made me realize, and the Lord has made me realize, that I overthink a lot. Okay, I am the biggest overthinker. Okay, I can overthink about not getting in the bathroom at 3:30 exact. Okay, I overthink everything. But one thing that I gotta really realize is like, man, dude, like chill out. Just go with the flow. And I had a friend tell me recently, he's like, look, like, just go with the flow. You don't have to stress out about everything. Just see how it goes. Everything will work out fine. And I see the way he goes about his life, and I'm like, wow, like that's how his life is. Things get thrown at him. He goes through different things, but it's like, wow, he really just lays back and just sees how it goes. And that's one thing that I got to fix myself. Especially if I'm such a big follower of Christ, like I said, I'm breaking the fourth wall here. Why am I stressing out so much? If I have so much faith, why am I not just saying, here, Lord, just take it? So that's one thing I've realized about myself. That's one of many things I've realized this year. But, to cap that question off, one thing I got to improve moving forward is just going with the flow. When everything else fades, what do you want people to remember about you? I want everybody to know that I changed the world. That I brought people closer to the kingdom of God, and that I inspired people. I think that's really all I ask for. And I feel like I mentioned it pretty often in these episodes. And I want to inspire the world. I want to change the world. And, at the end of the day, heaven and hell is real. And I pray that everybody goes to the kingdom of heaven. I know not everybody will. But if I could inspire people and encourage people to get closer to that means everything to me. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, share, follow. If you guys want a special shout out in next time's episode, make sure to comment down below. You might get a special shout out. With that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of your time listening to a little bit of my life. Now that's undisputed. And you know it. Cut.